everybody. Thank you so much for coming. This is part of our Driftless Dialogue series, as well as our youth poetry contest. So we invited a bunch of students from around the area to write poems, and then we had a judge who read them all and chose our poets of merit. So first, I'm going to start by reading our land acknowledgement statement as part of the Kickapoo Reserve Management Board. The Kickapoo Reserve Management Board acknowledges that the state and federal lands that comprise the reserve fall within the ancestral homelands of First Nations people, including the Ho-Chunk Nation. We recognize the sovereignty of the Ho-Chunk and other First Nations and will work towards a shared future by continuing to create collaborative opportunities to protect and preserve these lands. I'd like to invite the Wisconsin Poet Laureate, Brenda Cardenas, up to read a few of her poems and then introduce some of our youth poets.
We could maybe, that would be great. Just because I have all this stuff.
I understand.
This is perfect. Great. There we go. Do I need to move it up, maybe? Lefty loosey, righty tighty. Here we go. Hi, everybody. Can you hear me? Am I coming through the mic? Great. Hi, everybody. I'm so glad to see everybody here celebrating Earth Day and celebrating poetry and what these wonderful young people have done in writing poems that speak in some way to nature. And so I'm going to do the same. I will be reading you some of my own poems and then some poems that I selected from other poets who've had their work published that all have in some way, they all have to do with the natural world. And so I'll read about half of what I brought to read, and then I'll introduce to you all of the poets of merit, our young poets of merit who will come up and read their poems, and then I'll come back and read the other half of what I brought, and give you some context in between poems and things like that. So I am going to just begin right away with a poem that I wrote called Petition. And you know what a petition is? It's a petition is something you're asking for. Sometimes it could be through a prayer, sometimes it might be in some other way, but when you petition somebody, you're asking them for something. So petition. Lord, sanctify the bee in my sister's shoe, 'cause she can reskin after the sting, but we can't pollinate the blueberries and broccoli without the hive, Lord. Yahweh, bless the indigo bunting for its borderland of wisdom, for its song that peels away the gray layer of smog. Without, how will we face the doleful day? Allah, ennoble the twister's arc away from land, its volta into the great blue that chews on our storms, gulps them down like lemonade on a summer day. Vishnu, we need no syrupy snow cones, shaved ice melting in our mouths, but flash freeze the glaciers, please, until their bones crack and groan. Green Tara, self-minted, send fire from the forests to our bellies, where it burns clean our filth, rebirths us seed, stalk, forsythia. So there, right, I'm just reaching out to all the different gods of all different people's religions and asking them all to help us protect, right, what we have here in this sacred land. Without it, we talk so much about the ravages of climate change, but I think no matter what we do, the earth will go on in some form or another, but we won't if we don't start protecting it, right? We're putting ourselves at peril. But the earth itself, it'll change, but I think it'll survive. But if we want to stay here, then we have to think about things like the bees, right? How many foods we might have without the bees. And this little poem is called Recognition, and I wrote this about crows. Who has some favorite animals or favorite birds? Do you have favorite animal? I mean, don't we all have some that we really take to, right? I love crows. And I love, even though they're such a common bird, I love them because they're so smart. So smart. And this poem will tell you a little bit about that if you're not aware. I'm sure many of you are. So it's called Recognition. The crow will remember you so well, she will pass your visage on to her children, grandchildren. And if you whip a rock at her, if you poke a crooked stick in her nest, she will forever follow you ringing her bell, a siren to warn the whole flock you are not to be trusted. You better wear a helmet lest she dive and drill a hole in your head deeper than the one already present. Let her instead remember the shine in your eyes when you spotted the sheen of her blue-black feathers, the crackle in your laughter, honoring her croak and caw, rattle and honk, so many voices. Your gasp when you watched her onyx beak drop the seed you left for her into her fledgling's gaping mouth. When you found the silver charm she gifted you, let her remember the lightness of your limbs when you spread your arms, almost tried to fly away with her flock to a secret forest only friends are allowed to enter. So crows really do remember your face if you have either tormented them or you've done something nice for them. And they remember it so well, they pass it on to their children. And their children will know your face. So if you've been nice to them, the children, the crow itself might bring you gifts. The children might. If you've been mean, the children, when they see you, they will make a ruckus. So will the first crow, right? To warn all the others, this one's a bad one. Yeah, they're pretty amazing creatures. Okay, and I brought some poems that were written by other people for children, specifically for children. And this one was written by Rossetti is the name of the poet. No, I'm sorry. Not Rossetti. This one is Lillian Moore, and the poem is called Until I Saw the Sea. Until I saw the sea, I did not know that wind could wrinkle water. I never knew that sun could splinter a whole sea of blue. Nor did I know before a sea breathes in and out upon a shore. So that's for little ones. But hopefully the young ones can also understand a bit of what I'm reading. So another one, I live in the city. And I mean, I love being out here. I love not being in the city. But I taught at the University of Wisconsin, Milwaukee, and live in Milwaukee and grew up there. And I think we do make a mistake when we think of the city as being a place where there is, we think of it as being apart from nature, right? There's no nature there in the city, and that's not true. There's a lot of nature all around us all the time. We just have to pay attention to it. And now, because so many species are losing their habitats, we see them coming more and more into the city, right? So it's not uncommon at all for us to see coyotes. We have a fox running around our backyard. We have, raccoons, skunks, opossums. That's my husband. Yeah. And anyway, this one is called Unruly Urban Youth. When we slept in the back bedroom, of the ash-gray upper, little rain cloud tucked in a city park between cattails at the duck pond's northern curve and the locked-down, fenced-in tenement we called a high school. I woke each morning at 6 a.m. to the squawks and squeaks of baby robins hanging by Christmas tinsel and twigs, helicopter seeds and shredded test scores, leaves, love notes, patchworked and tree sapped to the metal awning that pinged when pecked, screeched like a chalkboard against talons. Such ruckus, such shrill panic in hunger's unruly demands for nurture or escape. Such riotous music, thundering my eyes open just in time to watch 2 tiny deer appear in the bushes of your hair, both decked out in their full regalia, their clattering racks of antlers. So that one's a little bit magical, but looking into somebody's hair, and thinking I saw a deer there, it looked like deer, but the baby birds, the ruckus they make, boy, they're wanting to be fed. And I think it's wonderful how birds in the city pick up all the litter to make their nests, they make it all part of their nests, so there's scraps of everything in there. They're in a way, they're cleaning up for us, and then they're recycling, right? They're recycling. So that is that poem. And then I've got one for you that's about fireflies. How many of you like fireflies? Yeah, I love them. And we don't see them as often anymore, right? We see fewer of them, although they still come out, but we don't see them as much as we used to. Well, this poem recalls a time I was hiking in a forest and came upon hundreds and hundreds, and it was just beautiful. Lamprey is another word for the firefly. So lamprey. Nightfall lures solar glow, lighting a footpath at wood's entrance. After you pass the last bulb, tap ground in front of you to check for roots. Reach a hand into black to block brambles scratch until eyes adjust to the outline of your fingers, profile of my mouth. Lips open to catch, stop the sound of my breath. In a clearing, campfire sparks? Burning brush? No. Thousands of fireflies, blinking flickers of the forest's secrets no one would believe, right? Like you tell that story to somebody, there were thousands, and they're like, nah, yeah. You just have to be there at the right moment, right, to catch it. Mm-hmm. So those were the fireflies. And I'm going to read you another one that was written for youth, for children. And this one is by Christina Rossetti. And I mean, it's written for children, like it's in a children's book, but I think it's a good lesson for all of us, right? And it's called Hurt No Living Thing. Hurt no living thing, ladybird, nor butterfly, nor moth with dusty wing, nor cricket chirping cheerily, nor grasshopper so light of leap, nor dancing gnat, nor beetle fat, nor harmless worms that creep. So hurt no living thing, or try not to. Here and there, we might accidentally do that, but we try not to. And I think I'll do one more or two more here in this set, and then we'll invite up the young people, and then I'll come back. So this poem, are you familiar with Holy Hill? Out kind of the West Bend area, and that, yes, some of you may have been there. There's a Catholic church there, and some people go there to worship, but a lot of people just go there for the beauty, for the nature, and to walk around. And if you've ever been there, you'll remember, but if you haven't, when you approach the church, there's a wall. There's a big wall, and it's open on either side, so you can walk around the wall, right? And then on the inside there, it's kind of like an atrium. There are big windows, right, that are really tall. Then you open the door to actually go into the church, right? Well, my husband and I went there one day, and we walked around that wall, and up as high as could be in one of the windows was a little hummingbird that was looking at its reflection and not realizing it was its reflection. So it was trapped there. It was kept banging against the glass, trying to get out, and couldn't. And I watched this guy scale the wall, literally, with no ladder or anything, to rescue that hummingbird. So this is called thin air. Trapped by a bend in the basilica, a bird hums inside at the hummingbird outside, glass trilling against its frenzied whir. A man I'll never stop loving climbs the wall, hovers on a sill stretching to grasp at anxious reflections. How many heartbeats to escape inside the outside of joy? To turn a green wing toward his dark palm, closing off light. Lightly, palms globe the terror song, carry it to a garden like a sacred stone, on a holy hill that keeps our crutches, fingers unfurl in a lemniscate of wings. So he got up that wall somehow, got the bird down, and like I say, it was very frightened because he had it in his hand, so it was really, you really felt it trying to get out of your grasp, right? And then got outside and let it go, and it went right to those red flowers and started drinking right away, because you know they have to eat like every 10 minutes because they use so much energy, always fluttering, yeah. So that is my hummingbird poem. Okay, I'll do one more, and then we're bringing up the young'uns here. So, I have one here. Where is it? Did I lose it? Okay. This is called Buck Hunger. Buck Hunger. And this all came from, poets use a lot of imagination too. A lot of what we write is true. It really happened. That scenario really happened at Holy Hill, right? And we base our poems on things that really happened, but then we elaborate, we add to it. Sometimes we change the truth for the sake of the poem. And so they're not, poems aren't biographies, and sometimes they're fictional. They're kind of made up. This whole poem came from, my husband bikes every day, the Oak Leaf Trail, 20 miles a day. He does it even in the winter, in the snow and the cold. Well, not anymore, but did for many, many years. And he will send me pictures of the animals he encounters along the way. And one was a close-up, from me to you away, of like a really big buck. Big. I was like, holy moly, you are very close to that buck, right? Just came out on the trail and didn't bother him or anything. And then from that picture, I imagined this whole scenario. So buck hunger. Between the shack's low boards where a nail loosened and one plank dove to the dirt, a stray cat slips, nestles in the rotted hem of a woman's calico dress. Eyes fixed on mice huddling beneath a moose's skull that hangs on the wall like a hat. Only hunger that has walked highway and country road, forest path and nightmare enters here, hoping for a windfall of canned beans, but finds a taxidermist's glass eye, a taxidermist's glass eye, tin cup sucked dry, owl beak and 2 spent bullets in an ashtray. Nix the meal and lie on the cot with its circus of creaks. You'll want to dream before the frost settles on your eyelashes. You'll want to meet again that 8-point buck who stared you down when you had no rifle, no bow. Find the fire in his eyes, the snort billowing from his flared nostrils. This is the blackest sound you'll ever hear. Will you bolt? Make him your lunch, your archive, your muse? This day, skip the notch in your belt. Blow him a kiss of winter breath. Let that one live, right? Okay, now we're going to bring up the kids. Okay, so let's look at my list here. And we're going to start with Carmody. Are you ready, Carmody? Okay. These are our poets of merit.
Hi, my name is Carmody, and my poem is called A Blue Flower. A flower of blue, sitting so beautifully, in the morning, in the wet grass, waiting for the sun.
And a lot of them did artwork to go with their poems, and it's really beautiful. Carmody, do you want to show your artwork? They did a great job. Carmody, you know, she said, no, I'm not really an artist. And we said, well, we draw stick figures, so we think you're an artist. Okay. Okay. And now we have Adelaide. Adelaide.
Hi, my name is...
Look at their pros. They know how to adjust the mic.
Hi, my name is Adelaide, and my poem is called A Little Bird. A little bird flying so high, in the afternoon, in the sky, to fly where her baby chicks lay on this cold, sunny day.
Artwork. Beautiful. Look at how beautiful. Look at the bird. Now we have Clara. Clara? Yeah, there you are. Okay. This should be is this good for you? Yeah.
Hi, my name is Clara, and my poem is called Robins Here Again. Fast, agile, soar, chomp, leap up. They seem the sign of spring. Soar over the world.
A little bit longer? Yeah. Excellent. You have a great sense of rhythm, Clara. Okay, Rose. Rose? Yeah, there we go. Oh, you might need a little taller, right?
Hi, my name is Rose, and my poem is called A Walk in the Night. I love nothing better than in the moonlight to sneak into the garden and walk in the night. It's so eerie, so strange, but so beautiful too, looking up at the sky where in day the birds flew. The roses and lilacs that in day were light pink are now darkest of black, like charcoal or ink. The moon stretches down her rays to illumine the trees that in nighttime look almost quite human. No squirrels chatter, most birds are asleep, except the owls in the unblinking vigil they keep. The stars shine down from their dazzling height to light the way through my walk in the night.
They're really talented, aren't they? Wow. Okay, we are at Esme, I think, right? Do we have Rose? We didn't have Rose? Okay, well, we have Rose and then Esme. Hey, Rose? Okay, where's Rose? Oh, you just did yours. I'm sorry. I just met them, so, okay, Esme, come on. I'm sorry, sweetheart. I just met them, so I don't have all of the names down. There you go.
Hi, my name is Esme, and my poem is called Tiny Town. When I go to Tiny Town, it makes me feel happy and peaceful. When I go to Tiny Town, I like to play tag and climb trees. Tiny Town smells like pine citrus. When I go to Tiny Town, I hear a lot of goldfinches and chickadees. I found a lot of fiddleheads there, or a lot of woolly bears and roly-polies there. This place is special to me because there are so many trees to climb with my friends.
So I'm hearing all kinds of things in these poems that poets do all the time. The rhythm in the language, the images painting with words, the specificity. You named which kinds of birds. You didn't just say a bird, but you named a chickadee, and right? Like all of these things are things that poets think about, and you all are doing it. So you're going to be poet laureate one day, right? Okay, Zuko.
A Seed of Hope by Zuko Van Zyl. Delicate and small, in a season now tall. Bees circle around for pollen they have found. Now I am growing old and wise. Life's secrets are now... Life's secrets are now my surprise. Now within my body lies a cycle to start anew.
That's great. Now within my body lies, he said, a cycle to start anew. Because our bodies are part of this natural world too. We're part of all of it, right? Everything's connected. Wonderful. Okay, Dominic.
In the meadow, I sit in the shade, under the trees, through the grass and shade. Beside the river, beyond the shade, I not know where. Through the creek, a flowing river, beyond the shade, I not know where. Through a creek, a flowing river, across the river I sit. Above the noise beyond the valley in the shade. There's a river, with the breeze somewhere, I not know where.
There's another poetic device, repetition. We call it, in college, we call it anaphora, this fancy word. It just means repetition. Good job. Okay, and George.
The woods. At night in the woods, all is dark, but I can guarantee there isn't a shark. The air smells good from the freshwater creek. I hear the owls screeching and squawking. It's like they're playing hide-and-go-seek. Sometimes you might just get to see a bat, and most likely it isn't fat. They hang upside down in trees to listen, but some bats don't get to see the glisten. They fly back into the caves at dawn. In the morning, in the woods, you can hear the frogs croaking, the insects buzzing, and the wind blowing on the treetops. You can see birds flying through, looking to build a nest. If you're lucky, you can see a bird catching a worm. It was all very cool to see. It stinks you weren't there with me.
Great verbs. Yeah, well, I'll get them all. What was it? Screeching and squawking and all those verbs I heard in there. Good job. Okay, and that was George, and we have Phoebe.
Hi, I'm Phoebe. I will be reading my poem, Mud in My Head. I step outside, but my face collides with a pile of mud. I try to move, but my face is glued. Oh no, what to do? I try to yelp, but the mud tastes like kelp. I start to cry, but I got mud in my eye. I try to move, but my face is yet glued. Oh no, what to do? I try to sleep, but this mud smells like wet sheep. I try to push, but my arms are mush. So I tried to move, but my face is still glued. But wait, I can move. How, you ask? Well, I don't know. I just move my elbow and up I go. Who knows how long I have been in this mud? Maybe an hour, maybe a day. All I can say is mud stinks, at least for today.
Wonderful. Those are all, they're just all great. And when you all use humor, it's excellent. You've got your timing right on. Okay, Willa.
Beautiful rain.
Just move this down a little bit so we hear you. Okay?
Beautiful rain. Rain, wet, glassy, pouring, blowing, drenching, pitter-patter on your window pane. Is it magic?
I think it's magic. Can we give another round of applause for our young poets? Would you like to stand up, poets? Come on, you did a great job. Woo! I wasn't goofing around. I wasn't just saying stuff when I was saying that I was hearing a lot of, poetic devices that we use all the time, that poets use all the time, that, I taught for 35 years, and the last 17 I taught college, and I was teaching my students to use those same devices you guys were using. Thinking about the sounds of the words and how they come together, the rhythm, the musicality of the poem, the images, all of it. You all had it. So it's delightful to have heard your work. Thank you so much. Yeah. Okay. And I also want to thank the judge. Can you remind me your name? Chris, the judge for the contest, yeah, who read all the poems. Okay, I'm going to share some more with you, if that's okay. Oop, I guess I got to do my loosey lefty righty tighty thing here. Oh, wait. There we go. Okay, here we go. This poem that I'd like to share was written by a poet named Ross Gay. He's a wonderful poet. He's an arborist, so he knows everything there is to know about trees and a lot about our natural world, has published many books. And I loved this poem in particular because of the great empathy he has with the horse in it. It's called Becoming a Horse. It was dragging my hands along its belly, loosing the bit and wiping the spit from its mouth, made me a snatch of grass in the thing's maw, a fly tasting its ear. It was touching my nose to his, made me know the clover's bloom. My wet eye to his made me know the long field's secrets. But it was putting my heart to the horses that made me know the sorrow of horses, the sorrow of a brook ceasing a field, the maggot turning in its corpse, made me forsake my thumbs for the sheen of unshod hooves, and in this way drop my torches, and in this way drop my knives, feel the small song in my chest swell, and my coat glisten and twitch, and my face grow long, and these words cast off at last for the slow, honest tongue of horses. I just love how he feels, that horse, so much. that it's like he's becoming the horse. Yeah. He has a lot of wonderful poems, and I can't recommend him enough if you would like to read his work. And this next poem I'm going to read to you is called Trespassing. And you'll see that eventually it gets to another wonder in nature that I came upon, like the fireflies in the other poem. Another wonder that I came upon that blew my mind, and I was awestruck by it. And so it's called Trespassing. Near Lacuta 10 of us slept in bedrolls on a farmhouse's sprawling attic floor. There to trespass on on land stolen by a subsidiary of the largest mining company in the world. To get arrested, to stop the drilling for one more day. I remember nothing about the protest except the no parking signs for long stretches of county road leading to the site. Can't tell you how I managed to cross the line without arrest. Can't tell you the names of compatriots, colors of their eyes, hair, skin, slogans declared across their tees, or how many days we stayed. What I can tell you is that 5 of us woke at 4 a.m., laced up our hiking boots, slipped on coats, hats, gloves, and walked into the forest before dawn. For 15 minutes, hoarfrost draped diamonds onto every tree branch, crystals onto every bush's crown, each ridge on the snowy trail shimmering. Hoarfrost bathed us in iridescence. I stood there in the world until the sun began to rise and stars to melt, drop at my feet. This is all I've remembered forever about that place, that time. I'll never forget that. Thank you. That hoarfrost, oh my God, what it does. And it's so ephemeral, it stays for just a tiny bit of time. And then the sun comes up and melts it away, but it's just like everything is glistening. And so what a blessing to have seen that. A few more. This poem was, my husband, Roberto, his family is all from Panama. He was born in Oregon, but his family, they all came from Panama, and he lived there for a while too. And we went to visit his family and went to do a hike in a tropical forest on the edge of Panama City. And so this is called Out of the Blue, and it recalls that. There's a few Spanish words in here, but they're the names of things. So Tumba Muerto means dead tomb, and it's the name of a road in the poem. Bachata and merengue, they're just forms of music, Latin music. Diablo Rojo, red devil, but it's just the name of a bus here in the poem. Mono Titi is the name of a road, and it means a titi monkey. A tamborito, it's a kind of Panamanian music, and pollera is the folk dress that Panamanian women wear when they do the dances, okay? Out of the blue. They don't call the avenue that leads us to Panama City's tropical forest Tumba Muerto for nothing. Traffic growls and screeches, shrieks above bachata merengue mixes on Radio Chiriquí. We weave between Diablo Rojo buses and pickups, inhale charcoal gray emissions, dodge collisions to reach Mono Titi Road, where we'll walk in search of sloths slung like algae from mossy branches. Listen for the tamarinds sneeze and raspy trill. We've heard monkeys thrive in this reserve, so we watch for vines to tremble overhead, for the thick emerald leaves to part. We hush our boots' soles, each other's whispers, stand still in the canopy's cool breath, but nothing swings from branch to branch, croons from hammocks between naps. We spy no tracks, not even a patch of fur to follow off trails. Disappointed, we start back. when out of the forest's understory fly two shimmering morphos, metallic blue wings fanning wide as our faces, a tamborito dancer's pollera in a twirl. Flickering in and out of sunlight, they linger just long enough to splash trails of lapis in our eyes, remind us to love each other into iridescence for the rest of our numbered days. So, thank you. You never know what you're going to encounter. We were trying to find monkeys and we didn't, but then these blue morpho butterflies, they're so big, out of nowhere. So, you might not get what you're looking for, but then you get a different gift, right? And that was those butterflies. And I will read you one more butterfly poem of my own, and then one of my very favorite poems in the whole world by Wendell Berry, and then a poem by Joy Harjo, who is a Muskogee Creek poet and who was the Poet Laureate of the United States right before the current one. So I'll leave you with these last three poems. This one is called Zacuan Papalotos, and that word is it's the Nahuatl language. The Nahuatl language is the language that the indigenous people who lived around Mexico City before conquest, what they spoke. The Zacuan Papalotos is a word in the language that they spoke, okay? And the word means monarch butterfly. We call those people Aztecs, but they didn't call themselves that. They called themselves Mexica. Aztec was the name of an empire, not of a people. And so they called themselves Mexica. And there's a little bit of Spanish in here. La Madre Tierra means the Mother Earth. Mariposas negras y anaranjadas means black and orange butterflies. La oración means the prayer. And mestizo is just that mix of Spaniard, Indian, and African that all Mexican people are. Cempasúchil is the indigenous word, the Nahuatl word for marigold. Okay. We are space between, the black-orange blur of a million monarchs on their multi-generation migration south to fur-crowned Michoacan, where tree trunks will sprout feathers, a forest of paper-thin wings. Our Mexica, cocooned in the membranes de la Madre Tierra, say we are reborn, Zacuan Papalotos, mariposas negras y anaranjadas, in whose sweep the dead whisper. We are between, the flicker of a chameleon's tail that turns his desert blue backbone to jade or pink sand, the snake-skinned fraternal twins of solstice and equinox, the ashen dawn, silvering dusk, la oración as it leaves the lips, the tug from sleep, the glide into dreams that husk our mestizo memory. We are one life passing through the prism of all others, gathering color and song, cempasúchil and drum, to leave a rhythm scattered on the wind, dust tinting the tips of fingers as we slip into our new light. So they did believe, the Mexica people, that we are all reborn monarch butterflies when we die. And that's why if you ever see film footage of the Day of the Dead parades in Mexico, they have big parades on Dia de los Muertos or Day of the Dead, and you'll see some of the people in the parade will be dressed in monarch costumes, and that's because of that old belief of becoming them, which I think is pretty beautiful. Okay, Wendell Berry. Wendell Berry is so phenomenal. Wonderful, wonderful poet. If you're in love with the natural world, you want to read his work. He was a farmer, all of his life, a farmer and a poet. Always worked the farm, always wrote poems. And this poem, I go to it whenever I'm feeling blue, okay, or mad or angry or whatever. And it's called The Peace of Wild Things. When despair for the world grows in me, and I wake in the night at the least sound in fear of what my life and my children's lives may be, I go and lie down where the wood drake rests in his beauty on the water, and the great heron feeds. I come into the peace of wild things who do not tax their lives with forethought of grief. I come into the presence of still water, and I feel above me the day-blind stars waiting with their light. For a time I rest in the grace of the world and am free. Wendell Berry. And then we'll end with a poem by Joy Harjo. Again, our country's poet laureate, was our country's poet laureate. And she's Muskogee Creek poet. And this is called Remember. And this is for all of us, for everybody, okay? Remember the sky you were born under. Know each of the stars' stories. Remember the moon, know who she is. Remember the sun's birth at dawn. That is the strongest point of time. Remember sundown and the giving away tonight. Remember your birth, how your mother struggled to give you form and breath. You are evidence of her life and her mother's and hers. Remember your father. He is your life also. Remember the earth whose skin you are, red earth, black earth, yellow earth, white earth, brown earth. We are earth. Remember the plants, trees, animal life, who all have their tribes, their families, their histories too. Talk to them, listen to them. They are alive poems. Remember the wind. Remember her voice. She knows the origin of this universe. Remember, you are all people, and all people are you. Remember, you are this universe, and this universe is you. Remember, all is in motion, is growing, is you. Remember, language comes from this. Remember, the dance language is that life is. Remember. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you for coming and for staying and for listening. And I hope you'll be motivated to go read some poetry, maybe write a little of your own. They can do it. They can do it, so you all can do it. And thanks to the parents of all of these youngins. Thank you. Mm-hmm.